Friends, tonight I want to tell you a story, not a fairy tale, not a myth, but a living testimony to the power that dwells within you. I once held $6 in my hand, just six, and yet I now stand before you having received $900 million, not by chance, not by toil, but by law. You ask, how is this possible? Let me tell you, I imagined, and I believed. The Bible says, to him that hath, it shall be given. This is not about possessions, but states of consciousness. When I had $6, I refused to see lack. I refused to see poverty. I saw abundance. I felt wealth. I imagined having already received. In the silence of my mind, I walked through homes I did not yet own. I wrote checks I could not yet cash. I gave thanks for fortunes not yet seen. And I did not waver, for I knew imagination creates reality. Do not be deceived by the outer world. The world is your mirror. Your life is a printout of your assumptions. I did not get rich by chasing. I became wealthy by embodying the state of wealth. Just as a pregnant woman does not hope to be a mother, she is a mother in her knowing. So I assumed I am rich. I am successful. I am a multimillionaire. And then the bridge of incidents began. Unexpected business opportunities appeared. A forgotten investment multiplied. But the how was never my concern, only the feeling of the wish fulfilled. I did not work for $900 million in the way the world understands. I aligned with it. I entered the state, and I persisted in it until it hardened into fact. You who sit with $6, do not despair. The Father in you, your own wonderful human imagination, is limitless. Begin tonight. Close your eyes. Assume the feeling of already having what you desire. Walk in the end. Feel it real. Persist. And remember what I tell you. You do not attract what you want, you attract what you are. So I became a millionaire in mind long before the world knew my name. And if I did, so can you. They told me I was poor. They looked at the number in my account, the clothes I wore, the car I didn't drive, and they declared my condition with certainty: he has nothing. But they were wrong. What they called nothing, I called the beginning. Because I knew what they didn't. Consciousness is the only reality, and the smallest amount of physical evidence means nothing when you understand the laws that govern life. I had $6, just six. Enough for a cheap meal, perhaps. Not enough for rent. Not enough to impress, but enough to create an empire, because $6 in the hands of one who knows how to imagine correctly is more powerful than $1 million in the hands of one who sees only with their eyes. You must understand that money is not the cause. It is the effect. The outer world is simply a reflection of the inner man. It is not what you possess externally that determines your wealth, it is the state you occupy internally. The man who feels wealthy even with empty pockets has taken the first step toward material riches. But the man who feels poor, even with a full bank account, is already losing what he cannot see. I did not curse the $6. I did not complain. I did not speak of lack. I looked at those $6 and blessed them, not as a final destination, but as evidence of a much greater harvest. I treated those $6 not as limitation, but as symbol proof that I can receive. That money can flow to me. And if it can come once, it can come again and again and again. The seed contains the tree. That tiny acorn buried in the dirt seems so insignificant, but it contains within it the pattern of the oak. All it requires is the right soil, the right environment, and faithful persistence in the unseen process. So too, the $6 I held were not the end. They were the beginning of a pattern, already complete in the unseen. I was not planting money, I was planting consciousness. When you understand this, you will no longer chase wealth. You will not strive in desperation to make things happen. You will instead shift states. You will sow inner conviction. And in time, as surely as the seasons turn, your outer world will reflect the new assumption. Most people make the mistake of seeing money as something outside of themselves, something they must earn, beg for, win, or steal. They make it a god. They separate it from their own being. But those who understand truth know the source of all supply is within. Money is but a shadow, a projection of one's self-concept. And so I did not pray to get more money. I did not hope or worry or ask the world to give me something. I instead became still and I asked myself, what would it feel like to be one for whom money was abundant? What would it feel like to look at my balance and see not six, but 600,000, 6 million, 900 million? And I did the unthinkable. I accepted it. I accepted that the only reason I saw $6 was because I had assumed the state of limitation. And if I had created that unconsciously, I could create the opposite consciously. So I imagined having what I desired and not as a dream, but as a present reality. I began to feel rich, not someday, but now. I walked differently. I thought differently. I acted not from arrogance, but from knowing. I stopped asking when and started living from the end. I did not ask how I would get the money. I trusted the process. I knew the bridge of incidents would unfold. The world would rearrange itself to match my new state. And so it did. Someone called me with an opportunity. An investment I had forgotten about exploded in value. A deal I didn't chase found me. But I tell you plainly, those were only the visible effects. The real change happened in silence, behind closed eyes, in the secret place where I dared to believe the unbelievable, where I dared to call $6 a seed instead of a sentence. Those who look only to the world for proof will never believe this. They will call it delusion, fantasy, self-deception. But those who have ears to hear will know it is not the world that tells the truth, it is your inner conviction. If you believe you are poor, even a sudden inheritance will find a way to leave you. If you believe you are rich, the tiniest amount will expand into abundance. So I say to the one who has little, do not curse your small beginning. Do not speak of lack. Speak instead from the end. Say, I am wealthy, not I will be, not I hope to be, but I am. And let every action you take be from that state. When you sit down to eat, eat as one who has plenty. When you walk, walk as one who knows that all things are being added unto him. When you think, think not of what is missing, but of what already is yours in imagination. For what is real in imagination will become real in experience if you persist. $6 was never the truth. The truth was the state I chose to dwell in. And when I chose differently, the world followed. You must first understand that the world you see is not as it appears. It is not the physical world, the one that is governed by your senses, the world where you measure your success by what you can touch, taste, or hold. The true world, the world that determines your life, is within you. It is not what you see, but what you believe that creates the conditions of your existence. This world is built on assumptions. Every person you meet, every situation you encounter, every financial gain or loss is a reflection of what you have assumed to be true about yourself and the world around you. So, when I say that reality bends to belief, what I am telling you is this: your inner assumptions are the architects of your outer circumstances. If you live in the belief that things are hard, that money is scarce, that opportunities are few, then your world will conspire to prove that to you. But if you live in the belief that all things are possible, that wealth flows to you effortlessly, and that you are deserving of success, your world will bend to meet that assumption. Most people don't see it this way. They live as if the world is a fixed, rigid thing, a structure that cannot be changed. They act as if their circumstances are the result of random events, fate, or the whims of others. They feel at the mercy of their environment, and so they remain stuck in patterns of limitation. But the secret to transforming any area of your life, whether it be your financial situation, your relationships, or your health, is to recognize that you are the source of your world. You, and only you, have the power to shape it. And you shape it by what you assume. This isn't mere wishful thinking. This is the law. Every great success story, every person who has ever risen from nothing to greatness has done so by first assuming the reality they desired long before they ever saw evidence of it in the physical world. They knew that their inner world, what they believed to be true, was the key to their success, and they were willing to believe it before the world reflected it back to them. There is nothing more powerful than assumption. It is the driving force behind all creation. Once you grasp this truth, you will understand that what you believe about yourself and your life must become your reality. You cannot believe you are poor and expect to see wealth. You cannot believe you are unworthy and expect love and success. But once you assume the state of the wish fulfilled, once you assume the feeling of already, having what you desire, then and only then does the world begin to shift. Many will ask, but how can I believe something that seems so far out of reach? And this is where the work begins. You see, belief is not something that happens on its own. It is not simply a passive state of mind. Belief is cultivated. It is nurtured through persistent imagination and faith. And the beauty of it is that you don't need to wait for the world to show you that it's possible. You can create belief in the now. Start by imagining the end result. What does it feel like to be exactly where you want to be? What does it feel like to have the wealth you desire? What does it feel like to be living the life you've dreamed of? You may say, but I don't have those things yet. And that's the point. It is in the feeling of already having them that the power of assumption works. The moment you begin to live in that feeling, you become that person. You take on the qualities, the thoughts, the actions, the energy of someone who has already achieved the goal. And because feeling is the secret, that feeling of fulfillment will draw the circumstances, the opportunities, and the people into your life who will reflect that assumption. You see, reality does not happen to you. It happens through you. Everything you experience is a manifestation of your inner beliefs. When you change the inner world, when you change the assumptions you hold about yourself and your potential, the outer world must change to match. This is not wishful thinking or idle fantasy. This is the law of creation, the law that governs all life. The key is in persistence. Most people begin this process, but they abandon it too soon. They give up because the world doesn't change immediately, because they still see the old patterns of lack, limitation, and struggle. But persistence is where the power lies. You must remain faithful to your assumption, no matter what the world shows you. You must hold your belief in the face of doubt. You must live from the end result and not let the present circumstances dissuade you. And that is the challenge. The challenge is not in seeing a new reality. The challenge is in holding that vision even when everything in the world around you tells you that it's not possible. But if you can hold that vision, if you can live in the end result as though it is already true, then the world will shift to meet you. The universe must rearrange itself to make your assumption a reality. It has no other choice. When I tell you that reality bends to belief, what I am saying is that the world will always yield to the state you choose to occupy. The outer world will conform to your inner assumptions. If you believe that wealth is limited, it will be. If you believe that abundance flows freely, it will. If you believe that everything is working in your favor, it will. And it is all a product of the assumptions you make. This is not some abstract, ungrounded idea. This is how life works. Your beliefs are the building blocks of your reality, and you have the power to choose what you believe. Once you decide on a belief and persist in it, that belief will manifest as your reality. It is as simple as that. So I urge you to examine your assumptions. Look at the beliefs you hold about yourself, about money, about relationships, about your potential. What are they? Do they support the life you want to live? If not, begin to change them. Begin to assume that you are worthy, that abundance is your birthright, that everything you desire is already yours. And hold that assumption faithfully day by day until the world must bend to meet you. You must understand something very important. Money is not the cause of wealth, it is the effect. This may sound counterintuitive to most, as we are conditioned to believe that wealth is something external, something we must chase, earn, or acquire. But let me tell you now, the very idea that you must go out there and seek money is the biggest misunderstanding of all. Money is merely the outward manifestation of an inward state. It is the reflection of a deeper truth within you, a truth that says, wealth is a state of mind. Too many people live in the illusion that they must first acquire the physical money, and only then will they be able to live the life they desire. They believe that the outside world dictates their wealth, that if they only worked harder, found the right opportunity, or met the right people, they would somehow attract the riches they seek. But this is not how life works. Life works from the inside out, not the other way around. If you want money, you must first become the person who attracts money. This is why the richest people are not those who simply chase after wealth. They are the ones who have assumed the state of being wealthy long before wealth physically appears in their life. They walk, talk, and think as though money is already theirs. And because they believe that they are wealthy, that assumption forms the basis for their reality, and wealth naturally flows to them. Money flows to those who are consciously aligned with it. It does not come because you are desperate, or because you're working endless hours trying to create it. Money flows to those who understand that wealth is a reflection of their inner state. The truth is that you don't need to make money. You need to become a vibration that attracts money. You need to embody the state of someone who is prosperous. Think about this: when a farmer plants a seed, he does not constantly dig up the soil to disturb it is growing. He does not stress over whether the tree is sprouting. He simply plants the seed and allows the process to unfold. So, too, when you choose to embody the state of abundance, you must have the faith that what you have planted will grow, even though you may not immediately see the results. The key is in your belief. If you believe that you are poor, even $1,000 will not change your perception. You will continue to see yourself as lacking. But if you believe that you are abundant, no matter how little you have in the bank, you will always find a way to attract more. The inner state is the key, not the outer circumstances. You see, most people focus entirely on the outer world. They look at their empty wallets, their credit card debt, or their job that doesn't pay enough, and they think that these circumstances define them. They believe their current situation is what determines their future. But this is not true. Your situation is simply a reflection of your previous inner assumptions. If you continue to see yourself as poor, if you continue to tell the story of lack and struggle, then you will perpetuate that experience. Your world will continue to reflect that belief. But if you change your internal narrative, if you begin to see yourself as abundant, as worthy of financial freedom, then the world must reflect that change back to you. The key is in the assumption. It is not about what you do or don't do on the outside. It is about what you assume to be true about your inner state. And when you embody the state of wealth and abundance, opportunities will naturally present themselves. People will come into your life who will assist you in your journey. The right circumstances will materialize. But these opportunities and circumstances are not the cause of your wealth. They are simply the effect of your inner state. This is why you must stop seeing money as something external that you need to get, chase, or earn. Money is within you, already available to you. It is a reflection of your inner abundance, your inner beliefs, and your inner peace. And when you change your state, the world must change to reflect that shift. When you begin to align with the truth that wealth is a state of mind, you will start to see the outer world reflect that belief. The opportunities, the people, the circumstances, they will all begin to line up with your internal state of abundance. But you must first assume that you are wealthy. You must assume that you are deserving of all the good that is available to you. And once you have assumed that state, you must persist in it, no matter what the world shows you in the meantime. It is only by assuming the state of abundance and living as though you already have what you desire that wealth can flow to you. Stop focusing on the lack in your life and start focusing on the abundance that already exists within you. Stop looking at your bank balance and defining your worth by that number. Start living as the person who already has what they desire. You do not need to wait for the world to change. The world will change once you change. And you change by assuming the state of wealth and living from that place regardless of the external conditions. Money is not something you need to chase, it is something that naturally comes to you when you live in the consciousness of abundance. So let go of the idea that money is a struggle. Let go of the idea that you must fight for it. Instead, live in the awareness that money is simply an effect of your inner state. As you change your assumptions and beliefs about wealth, you will begin to see that the flow of money is not difficult or unattainable. It is as natural air you breathe. All you need to do is assume the state of the one who is already wealthy, and the world will reflect that assumption back to you. There is a profound truth that many fail to recognize. The key to living the life you desire lies not in waiting for it to happen, but in living from the end. You see, most people live their lives as if the future is something that happens to them, as if the events of tomorrow will somehow define their success, their happiness, and their well-being. But the truth is far more empowering. The future is not something that comes to you, it is something that you create. And you create it by living from the end, by living as though your desired reality has already been fulfilled. So many people wait for the external world to change before they will allow themselves to feel happy, fulfilled, or abundant. They wait for the right job, the right partner, the right amount of money, or the right circumstances before they will feel secure and at peace. But what they don't realize is that they are putting the cart before the horse. The outer world cannot change until you change. It is your inner state, your assumptions, your beliefs that precede the external manifestations you desire. When you live from the end, you are not waiting for the world to show you the way. You are acting as if the outcome you desire has already come to pass. This means that you are not chasing after things. You are not striving and struggling to make your dreams a reality. Instead, you are living in the consciousness of already having what you desire. You walk, talk, think, and feel as if your dream is already a part of your reality. You assume that the very thing you desire is already done. And from this assumption, the world must rearrange itself to reflect that belief. This is the essence of creation. Creation does not happen in the future, it happens in the now. The moment you assume the state of the wish fulfilled, the moment you take on the feeling of already having what you desire, you are creating the future. You are no longer waiting for something outside of yourself to change. You are the one changing. You are living from a future that is already real in your consciousness. And as you do this, you begin to see the outer world conform to your new inner state. The problem for most people is that they focus too much on what is happening right now in the physical world. They look at their bank account, their current job, their relationship status, and they decide that these things define who they are and what they can have. But the truth is that the world you see around you is just a reflection of your past assumptions. It is a snapshot of what you once believed to be true about yourself and your life. If you want to change your world, you must stop focusing on the present reality and start living as though the desired outcome has already occurred. You must stop looking at your bank balance and thinking, I can't afford this, and instead live as though the money is already in your hands. You must stop thinking of yourself as struggling and start thinking of yourself as already successful. You must stop seeing yourself as single and start seeing yourself in a loving, fulfilling relationship. When you live from the end, you are no longer seeking the change, you are already living the change. And the moment you assume the end result, the world begins to rearrange itself to reflect that assumption. It is not that the world is a passive player. No, the world is a mirror that reflects the state of your mind. It reflects the assumptions you hold about yourself, your life, and your possibilities. If you see yourself as lacking, the world will reflect that. If you see yourself as abundant, the world will reflect that as well. This is why so many people find themselves stuck in cycles of struggle and lack. They look at their present reality and they assume that it will always be the same. They assume that their financial difficulties, their lack of success, or their problems with relationships are somehow fixed. But nothing in this world is fixed except for your assumptions. The world changes in direct proportion to your beliefs. When you change your beliefs, the world must change to reflect them. To live from the end is to fully embrace the truth that your desire is already fulfilled. It is not something you will get in the future, it is something that is already yours. The moment you assume this, the universe begins to align itself with your belief. And as this alignment happens, the physical world shifts to reflect what you have already believed to be true. It is as if the world is bending and conforming to match your new inner assumption. But here's where most people go wrong. They begin this practice of living from the end, but they give up too soon when the external world doesn't immediately conform to their desires. They fall back into doubt, into the feeling of lack, and as a result, they lose the momentum that was beginning to build. The key is to persist in the assumption of the end, even when the world around you seems to contradict it. You must trust the process even when things don't look the way you want them to. Trust that your assumptions are creating the world you desire, and that the world will adjust itself in its own time. You may not see the results immediately, but the moment you live from the end, the moment you feel as though your desire is already realized, the world is already beginning to shift. And if you continue to live from that place in faith and in trust, you will see the physical world reflect the changes you've made in your inner world. Living from the end is a powerful act of creation. It is not about trying to make things happen. It is about aligning yourself with the truth that the things you desire are already yours. And once you do this, once you fully embody this state, the outer world must reflect it back to you. The key to living the life you desire is not about waiting for it to show up. It is about realizing that it is already here within you and living from that place of fulfillment. The moment you live from the end, the world must bend to meet you.
The mind is not a passive observer of the world, it is the creator of it. Most people live their lives in the belief that they are at the mercy of external circumstances, that the world is something that happens to them, something that they have little control over. They believe that the events of their lives are determined by external forces, whether it be the economy, other people, or random occurrences. But the truth is far more empowering. You are the creator of your world. The world around you is the reflection of your inner thoughts, feelings, and most importantly, your imagination. The power of imagination is not a mystical or abstract concept. It is the primary force that shapes your reality. Everything you experience, every situation, and every person in your life is a manifestation of the images you have held in your mind. Your imagination is not merely a place for daydreams or fantasies. It is the active, creative force that brings your desires into physical form. The world you see around you is not some static, unchanging entity. It is constantly in motion, constantly shifting to reflect the images you hold in your mind. Imagine for a moment that you are the artist of your life. Your mind is the canvas, and your thoughts and imaginations are the brushstrokes. Whatever you imagine, whatever you feel to be true, must eventually become your reality. It is as if the universe itself is waiting for you to paint the picture of your life, and once you do, the world is compelled to reflect it back to you. This is why it is so important to become conscious of the images you hold in your mind. Most people spend their days imagining scenarios of lack, fear, and limitation. They imagine that they are stuck in a difficult situation, that they cannot escape their circumstances, or that things will never improve. And because they hold these images in their mind, these scenarios are created in their reality. The universe is always responding to the pictures they paint, and because their thoughts are filled with lack and struggle, their external world reflects that. But the truth is, you do not have to live this way. You do not have to live at the mercy of your current circumstances or the challenges that life may present. You have the power at any moment to change the pictures in your mind. You can choose to imagine a reality that is filled with abundance, success, love, and happiness. And once you do, the world must begin to reflect that new reality. This is not wishful thinking or mere positive thinking. This is the law of creation. If you want to change your life, you must change your mental images. It is not enough to simply want something or to work hard for it. You must first imagine it, feel it, live it in your mind as though it has already come to pass. Once you begin to see yourself as successful, as abundant, as healthy and whole, you begin to create that reality. The power of imagination is the power of creation itself. Imagine a person who desires to be wealthy. If this person constantly imagines themselves in debt, struggling to make ends meet, or feeling unworthy of wealth, they are, in effect, creating that reality. They are painting a picture of lack, and the universe must respond to that image. But if that same person begins to imagine themselves as already wealthy, feeling the emotions of success, walking through life with the confidence that money flows freely to them, the universe must begin to rearrange itself to reflect that assumption. The moment the image changes in the mind, the outer world begins to change as well. This is why it is crucial to begin practicing conscious imagination. Stop letting your thoughts drift aimlessly. Stop letting your mind be filled with negative images or thoughts of lack. Begin to direct your imagination to create the world you desire. Imagine yourself as already successful, already abundant, already healthy. See yourself living the life you desire and feel the emotions associated with it. As you continue to do this, your imagination will begin to shape your reality, and the world will begin to reflect the images you have planted in your mind. But here's the key: your imagination must be consistent. It is not enough to imagine success one day and then revert to thoughts of failure the next. Your imagination must be persistent in its assumptions. You must hold the mental image of your desired reality long enough for it to begin to take form in the physical world. The more vividly you can see your desired outcome, the more intense your feelings of success, the faster the universe will respond. The imagination is not a passive tool. It is the creative force that brings about change. The more you use it consciously, the more it will serve you. You can begin by taking just a few moments each day to close your eyes and vividly imagine the life you desire. See it, feel it, live it in your mind. Feel the emotions of joy, excitement, and gratitude as though it is already happening. And as you do this, trust that the world is already beginning to shift to bring your vision to life. This is not a process that takes years or decades. The moment you change the image in your mind, the process of creation begins. The law of attraction is not some magical force working outside of you. It is your imagination at work shaping the world according to the images you hold. As you change the images, the world must change as well. This is the power you hold in your mind. There is no limitation to what you can create through your imagination, whether you desire wealth, love, health, or success. It all begins with the image you hold in your mind. If you can imagine it, you can have it. The power to create is within you, and it is activated every time you focus your imagination on your desired outcome. The world around you is not as fixed as it seems. It is constantly in motion, constantly rearranging itself to reflect the images you have chosen to hold. Your imagination is the tool you use to change the images, to create a new reality. The more you practice, the more you will see the world conform to your new mental pictures. And in time, you will come to realize that you are not at the mercy of life's circumstances. You are the creator of your world, and your imagination is the key to unlocking your deepest desires. It is easy to assume that our outer world dictates who we are, what we experience, and what we can achieve. Most people walk through life trapped by their external circumstances, convinced that they are bound by the reality they see before them. They believe that their situation, their environment, their relationships, or their financial state defines who they are and what they can become. But this is not the way the world works. You are not a victim of your circumstances. Your outer world is a reflection of your inner world, and the only thing that limits you is the beliefs you hold about yourself and your abilities. What you see outside of you is simply a mirror, a reflection of your own thoughts, beliefs, and assumptions. If you believe that success is difficult to achieve, if you hold the belief that wealth is elusive or that happiness is reserved for others, you are inadvertently creating those circumstances in your life. But when you begin to believe that you are worthy of success, that your desires are already fulfilled, and that you can have anything you set your mind to, your world must reflect those beliefs. The most powerful tool you have in shaping your reality is your belief, but belief alone is not enough. It must be paired with feeling with a deep emotional connection to the outcome you desire. It is not enough to simply wish for something. It is not enough to simply think about it in an abstract way. You must feel it as though it is already yours. The feeling of the wish fulfilled is the true creative force. It is the emotion behind the thought that gives it power. Think for a moment about what it would feel like to already have everything you desire. Close your eyes and imagine it. Imagine the joy, the peace, the excitement, or the sense of security that comes with the realization of your desires. Allow yourself to experience those feelings fully. Imagine that the moment has already arrived and that your desire has already been fulfilled. The key to transformation is to live in the feeling of the wish fulfilled. You must live as though your desire has already materialized. The moment you embody the feeling of fulfillment, you are aligning yourself with the vibrational frequency of that desire. It is in this state of being that the external world must begin to change. Most people spend their lives waiting for their external circumstances to change before they will allow themselves to feel joy, peace, or fulfillment. They believe that once the money arrives, once the perfect partner appears, or once their health improves, then they will be happy. But this is a backward way of thinking. It is your inner state that causes the external world to change, not the other way around. If you wait for the external world to dictate your feelings, you will remain in a constant state of dissatisfaction. You will be forever chasing after things, believing that once you have them, you will finally be happy. But this is not the way it works. The only way to attract the life you desire is to first embody the feelings of having it. You must live from the end, from the place where your desires are already realized. The universe responds to the feeling tone that you set, not the outward appearances of your current circumstances. When you believe in something with your whole being, when you feel it in your heart and soul as though it is already true, you are creating the conditions for it to manifest in your reality. You are not waiting for the world to bring it to you. You are living in the state of having it. Your belief and feeling are the catalysts that set the universe into motion. As you embody the feeling of success, wealth, or fulfillment, the outer world begins to conform to those assumptions. Let me ask you this: what would it feel like to already have everything you desire? What emotions would you experience if your dreams were already a part of your life? Would you feel confident, joyful, grateful, or at peace? When you can answer this question, you are beginning to tap into the creative power that shapes your reality. Your beliefs must match the feelings of the wish fulfilled. If your inner beliefs align with the emotions of success, abundance, and happiness, you will see those qualities manifest in your life. This is why it is essential to challenge the beliefs that do not serve you. If you believe that you cannot have what you desire, that you are not deserving of success, or that it is too difficult to achieve your goals, you are only reinforcing the reality that you don't want. Your beliefs are like seeds, and the emotions you attach to them are the water and sunlight that nourish those seeds. If you believe that you are not worthy of wealth, your emotions will reflect that belief, and you will see the external world mirror your feelings of lack. But once you change your beliefs, once you start to believe in your worthiness, your ability to succeed, and your capacity to receive the things you desire, the world will begin to reflect that change. It is a process of shifting your inner state so that your thoughts and feelings align with your desires. When you embody the feelings of already having what you want, your world must rearrange itself to bring it to you. You do not need to wait for the outer world to change before you allow yourself to feel the emotions of success and fulfillment. The feeling of fulfillment is the key to transformation. The moment you begin to feel as though you already what you are aligning yourself with the creative force of the universe. And the moment you align yourself with that force, the external world must follow suit. Your feelings and beliefs are the foundation upon which your reality is built. If you want to change your life, change your beliefs. And when you change your beliefs, change your feelings to match them. Live as though your desires have already come to pass. Feel the joy, the peace, the excitement, or the satisfaction that comes with their fulfillment. And know that as you do this, the universe will begin to reflect your inner transformation in the world around you. Most people think that the manifestation of their desires depends on luck, fate, or the circumstances they are born into. They look around at others and think, if only I had their opportunities, their resources, their connections, my life would be different. But the truth is far more empowering than that. The key to manifesting your desires is not found in external conditions. It is found in your faith and your faith to persist in your assumptions. The universe does not respond to the world as it is, it responds to the world as you believe it to be. Faith is often misunderstood. It is not simply belief in the absence of evidence, nor is it an abstract, passive concept. Faith is the assumption of the feeling of the wish fulfilled. It is the unwavering belief that your desire is already a reality, even when the physical world has not yet shown any evidence of it. Faith is not something you have when things are going well. Faith is what you have when everything around you seems to contradict your desires. Faith is the ability to hold on to your belief, even when your senses tell you something entirely different. When you have faith in something, you are convinced that it is true, regardless of what your eyes may see, your ears may hear, or your circumstances may suggest. Faith is not wishful thinking or hope. It is a certainty that the unseen is already in motion. The moment you have faith that your desire is fulfilled, the universe must rearrange itself to make it so. But here's where most people falter. They give up too soon. They begin with enthusiasm, they imagine their desires, and they feel the emotions of having already received them. But when the results don't appear immediately, they doubt themselves. They begin to question whether their desires are truly possible. They look around at the world and they are tempted to believe that nothing is happening, that nothing is changing. This is where faith and persistence come in. When you plant a seed in the ground, you do not doubt that it will grow, even though you cannot see the roots forming beneath the surface. You trust that in time, the seed will sprout and push its way through the soil. The same is true of your desires. The moment you plant the seed of your desire in your mind, the universe begins to work on your behalf. The creative process is always in motion, even when you do not see immediate results. Your faith allows the process to unfold, and your persistence ensures that you do not give up before the seed has had the time to take root and grow. Too often, people let go of their faith just when their desires are about to materialize. They let doubt creep in, they look at the world and say, nothing is happening. But what they fail to see is that the very moment they let go of their faith, they disconnect from the flow of creation. It is not enough to believe for a moment or two. You must remain steadfast in your belief that your desire is already done. You must persist in your assumption that the world is aligning to bring your desire into your life, even when there is no outward evidence of it. Faith requires that you do not look at the world around you as your source of evidence. The world is only reflecting your inner state. If you are constantly looking for signs, for evidence that things are changing, you are placing your faith in the wrong place. The evidence will come, but it comes after you have already committed to your belief. It is your faith that creates the change, not the world around you. You must trust the unseen and persist in your assumption that it is already done. Persistence in faith is not a matter of force or struggle. It is a matter of remaining consistent in your belief and your assumption. Imagine a child who believes in the power of their imagination. If a child truly believes that their toy is alive, they will treat it as though it is. They will speak to it, care for it, and even expect it to respond. In the same way, you must treat your desires as though they are already reality. Even if the external world says otherwise, you must hold on to the belief that your desire is already fulfilled. This is where the power of imagination comes in. You must not only have faith, but also live from the end. Live as though your desire is already realized. Feel the emotions of success, of abundance, of happiness, or whatever it is that you wish to manifest. Do this consistently, even when you see no external evidence of your success. Feel it in your body, see it with your mind, and persist in your assumption. Over time, your persistent belief will cause the world around you to reflect the change you have created in your inner world. You see, the creative process does not require a struggle. The struggle comes only when you doubt the process or when you give in to the belief that it is not happening fast enough. If you plant a seed in the soil and then dig it up every day to see if it is growing, you disrupt the natural process. In the same way, if you constantly doubt the process, you interrupt the manifestation of your desire. Trust the process and know that everything is unfolding perfectly. Your persistent faith will allow it to unfold in its own time. This is where many people fail. They are quick to doubt, quick to question, and quick to give up. But those who succeed in manifesting their desires understand that faith is a process of alignment. They align themselves with the belief that their desires are already fulfilled, and they persist in that alignment no matter what. They know that their desires are already part of their reality, even if they cannot yet see them in the physical world. Persistence in faith is not about forcing things to happen. It is about trusting that what you desire is already on its way to you and continuing to live in the assumption of that fulfillment. The world will eventually catch up with your inner belief, and the manifestation will occur. In the meantime, your task is to remain unwavering in your assumption. Do not let doubt or fear sway you. Keep your faith alive, persist in your belief, and know that your desires are already unfolding. When you commit to your faith and persist in it, you are aligning yourself with the natural flow of creation. You are allowing the universe to work on your behalf. The power is in your belief and your persistence. The moment you let go of doubt and hold steadfastly to the truth of your desire, you allow the creative forces to do their work. The universe will reflect your faith and your persistence, and your desires will materialize in ways you never thought possible. There is no transformation in life greater than the transformation of identity. All outer changes begin within, not in action, not in striving, but in a shift in awareness, a shift in who you accept yourself to be. You may desire wealth, love, success, freedom, or health, but the truth is you will never consistently possess anything that contradicts the image you hold of yourself. The outer world is always showing you what you are inwardly accepting as true. So the real question is not how to get what you want, but how to become the one who already has it. The great secret is not in trying to attract or acquire, but in realizing that everything you desire is already present, already complete, and already yours the moment you claim it in consciousness. But to claim it, you must assume the identity of the one who has already received it. This assumption is not about pretending or faking. It is the deep inward knowing that your desire is a present fact. You are not trying to become, you are being. You are not reaching, you are resting in the knowing that the thing you seek is already within your possession because you are now the person who has it. You must take your attention away from your present identity, the one who lacks, who waits, who strives, and instead give life to the version of yourself that dwells in the fulfillment of your desire. This version of you is not imaginary, it is real, for all states exist. Every possible version of you lives right now in potential, waiting only for your assumption to give it life. You do not force this identity into existence. You simply choose it, believe in it, and live from it. To shift identity is to do something very few are willing to do. It is to die to the old self. The old self may be familiar and even comforting in its limitations, but it must be released entirely. You cannot carry the beliefs of lack into the state of wealth. You cannot carry the identity of the unloved into the state of being loved. The moment you decide to identify with your fulfilled self, the old self begins to dissolve. You must abandon the emotions, assumptions, and thoughts that belong to who you once were and now immerse yourself in the experience of who you have chosen to be. This is not imagination in the way most understand it. It is not fantasy. It is not daydreaming. This is the disciplined act of inwardly becoming the person you desire to be until the line between inner and outer fades away and the new self feels more natural than the old. You must walk in the end. You must hear conversations as that new self would hear them, see the world as that new self would see it, and respond to life as that new self would respond. You are not waiting for proof to believe you are this person. You believe first, and the proof arrives. Many fail in their manifestations because they never shift identity. They try to manifest as the old self. They desire change, but they still think and feel and react as the version of themselves who is separate from their desire. So the outer world remains unchanged, not because the desire is denied, but because it is being approached from a state that does not contain it. You cannot be poor and become rich. You must become rich in consciousness, and then the outer must mirror that transformation. This identity shift is not a one-time decision. It is a continual assumption, a sustained inner movement. Each day, you are faced with the temptation to return to your former self, to react as you once did, to feel the old doubts, to revisit the old stories. But if you persist in your new identity, reality has no choice but to conform. You are not trying to force change on the world. You are changing yourself. And because the world is your reflection, the mirror must obey. So ask yourself, who would I be if I already had all that I desire? How would I feel upon waking? What would my thoughts be? How would I move through the world? And then begin in every way possible to embody that version of yourself. Make decisions as they would, speak words as they would, think thoughts as they would. Most importantly, feel the feelings they would feel, for the feeling is the secret doorway through which your assumption becomes real. This is not effort in the physical sense. It is inner discipline. The work is done in silence, in stillness, in consciousness. No one may notice at first that you have changed, but something in you knows it, and the world will eventually show you what you have accepted inwardly as true. This is the art of becoming, not by doing more, but by being more. You are claiming dominion over your reality by claiming dominion over yourself. You do not need to beg life to give you what you desire. Life gives to you exactly what you are conscious of being. So the question is not whether the world will change, the question is whether you will change your concept of yourself. The moment you do, the outer must follow. It has no will of its own. It can only reflect the inner state you consistently occupy. You are not limited by your past. You are only limited by your refusal to assume a new self. The moment you accept the new identity, everything changes. You find yourself walking into opportunities, into conversations, into synchronicities that were previously inaccessible, not because the world has changed, but because you have changed. You have aligned your inner world with your desired reality, and the mirror of life responds with perfect precision. The world cannot help but reflect your inner stance. If you wish to see different results, you must first be different. You must dare to believe in your new self more than you believe in the evidence of your senses. You must persist until the assumption becomes reality. No outer circumstance is permanent. Everything can and must bend to the authority of your inner conviction. All that is required is the courage to step into the role of the fulfilled self and never look back. For once you are that person in consciousness, nothing can keep the world from showing it to you. Now you see, the path was never about effort in the outer world. It was always about alignment within. What began as $6 was never truly about money. It was a symbol, a shadow of something deeper. The world will call it a miracle, luck, or even a lie, but you now know better. You know that imagination, when fused with belief, is the only creative power in the universe. You know that assumption, when persisted in, hardens into fact. You know that identity must precede reality, and that nothing changes until you change your concept of self. All the wealth, the success, the joy, and the freedom you could ever desire is already yours. Not will be. Not could be. It is. The only question is, do you accept it as true? Are you bold enough to claim it in the silence of your inner world before the world gives you permission to believe? Because the moment you do, you shift timelines, and the version of you who already has it begins to live through you. Let them doubt. Let the world question how it happened. But you will know the truth. You didn't earn it through force, you became it through faith. You didn't chase it, you embodied it. And the world, being only a mirror, reflected your becoming with precision, abundance, and elegance. This is not a story about money. This is not a story about a number. This is a story about the power within you, the power to imagine, assume, and become. The same power that took $6 and turned it into 900 million can take whatever you hold right now, no matter how small, no matter how limited, and multiply it beyond all logic. If only you believe. If only you persist. If only you dare to assume it is already so. You are the operant power. Now go and use it.